Now, I'll introduce you to another routing protocol, which is the OSPF, which means Open Shortest Path First. Now, let's go on and see the checklist for OSPF before we configure and have the SIMLET for this one. Now, first, the process ID. So, OSPF use process ID. So, if you remember, EIGRP uses the AS number, and RIP doesn't have any process ID or any AS number. So OSPF is like EIGRP, but the main difference is in EIGRP, all of the devices that have a EIGRP routing protocol should have the same AS number to form their adjacency. Now here in OSPF, process ID can be very different from one device to another device, so that one is fine. Now second one would be the area number. Now this area number is like the AS number of EIGRP because this forms the neighbor adjacency of the two devices. Now the third one is to advertise directly connected network. So like EIGRP and RIP routing protocol, OSPF should also advertise the directly connected networks, but given that you need to specify its wildcard mask. So here is the checklist for OSPF. Now let's try and work on with the SIMLET for this routing protocol. Now let's start. So I have here a lab of GNS3, but here in our SIMLET, it has already the configurations. So if you wanted to open and check everything regarding this topology, you can open the GNS3 file. Here it is. But here, I'm gonna focus on your SIMLET, which have already the configuration inside. So let's begin. Then again, here's the topology. And let's read first the topology. Now, question number 1. Refer to the topology. Your company has decided to connect the main office with 3 other remote branches using point-to-point serial links. You are required to troubleshoot and resolve OSPF neighbor adjacency issues between the main office and the routers located in the remote branch offices. Now, here is the question. An OSPF neighbor adjacency is not formed between R3 in the main office and R4 in the branch 1 office. What is causing the problem? So R3 is not forming OSPF neighbor adjacency into R4. So here's R4 and here's R3. So they don't have any OSPF neighbor adjacency. Now let's try and check first the configuration for router 3. And regarding about the checklist, here it is. I'll put it in the side so you can see. So as you can see, you need to have this 3 checklists in order for you to troubleshoot an OSPF routing protocol. So as you can see, and I have told you earlier that the process ID can be very different, but the area number should be the same, because if a device have different area number, well, it won't form any neighbor adjacency. So let's try and check if that one is working, or is it the directly connected network that is configured incorrectly. Maybe the wildcard mask specified is not complete. So let's try and check. So here in R3, you can see here the username R6 with the password Cisco36. And the OSPF process ID it used is 3, and the area is 0 in R3. Now let's check the other interfaces. OSPF3 also, area 0. OSPF3 also, area 0. And you could see here IP OSPF3, area 0 again. And IP OSPF3, area 0 again. Now, after you have examined the R3, let's now proceed with R4. As you can see, the OSPF process ID used in R4 is 4. And the area is 2. Now, if you could look at this statement and R3 statement, you could easily identify what was the cause of not forming the neighbor adjacency with these 2 routers. As you can see, the area is not matching with the area that is specified on R3. So let's check if the statement on the question have the choices we can to answer question number 1. So A, there is an area ID mismatch. B, there is layer 2 issue and encapsulation mismatch on serial links. C, there is an OSPF hello and dead interval mismatch. And then D, router 3 ID is configured on R4. So as you can see here, the result would be it have different area. That's why it didn't form any neighbor adjacency. So the answer for question number 1 is A. There is an area ID mismatch. Now let's proceed with the second one. Here it is. An OSPF neighbor adjacency is not formed between R3 in the main office and R5 in the branch 2 office. What is causing the problem? So let's try and check the R3 main office again and R5 in branch 2, and let's see what is causing the problem because it don't have any OSPF neighbor adjacency form. So let's proceed with R3 first. Then check it. OSPF3 area 0, area 0, area 0, area 0, and area 0. Now let's go with R5. As you can see here, R5 uses OSPF process ID 5, and the area is also 0. This area is also 0, and the area is also 0. Double answers for that. So A, there is an area ID mismatch. B, there's a PPP authentication issue, a password mismatch. C, there's an OSPF hello and dead interval mismatch. Or D, there's missing network command in OSPF process on R5. We all know that there is no area ID mismatch on this, so A would be so A would not be on the choices anymore. Now let's try with BCD. Now in B, there's a PPP authentication issue, a password mismatch. So let's try and see the configuration of R3 again in R5, and let's see if the PPP authentication have an issue or the password didn't match. So let's first try and see R3, username R6 and password Cisco36. Then let's check with R5, and it doesn't have any configurations for that. So B is not the correct answer for question number 2. Now let's try with C. There is an OSPF hello and dead interval mismatch. Let's first see R3. As you can see here, if you're gonna look at the configuration, you'll see at the bottom part that there is an OSPF hello dash interval 50. So it declared there is a hello dead time interval. Now let's see with R5 if it has the hello dead interval. And if you're gonna check the whole configuration in here, there is no config for the hello dead interval mismatch. So I think C or D would be the answer here. Now let's try first and check the D. There is a missing network command in the OSPF process on R5. Now if you're doubting your answer regarding the endorsement of the directly connected network for R5, you can check the GNS3 topology, but as you can see here, it have all the interfaces that is configuredly right. So if we're gonna check and look at the choices, letter C would be the answer for this one, because as you can see, there's no hello and dead interval indicated on R5. That's why it is mismatching. So let's proceed with question number 3. Now, R1 does not form an OSPF neighbor adjacency with R2. What option would fix the issue? Configure no IP OSPF hello dash interval 20. So if you're gonna check the commands for R1 and R2, now let's first and have the checklist for this one, and it's right here. So as you can see, the area of both routers are the same, and also the endorsement of the interfaces to a routing protocol OSPF. And so you could see at the bottom part of R1 that there is a OSPF hello dash interval of 25, while R2 doesn't have any hello interval declared. So in question number 3, we can conclude that A won't be the correct answer. So B would be the right answer. Why is it B? Because the R1 have a configuration of OSPF hello interval of 25. Now if you remove that one, so the both routers will form a adjacency. So as you can see guys, in the configuration, even though they belong to the same area and everything was configuredly right, you must check if the OSPF have a hello dead interval mismatch. So both of the routers, if they have an OSPF and you declared a hello dead interval time, the two routers must match the values that are indicated in the configurations. If they have a hello dead interval mismatch declaration, the two routers won't form any neighbor adjacency even though they belong to the same area number. So I hope you got the explanation for question number 3. Now let's proceed with question number 4. An OSPF neighbor adjacency is not formed between R3 in the main office and R6 in the branch 3 office. What is causing the problem? A. Area ID mismatch. B. PPP authentication issue. The username is not configured on R3 and R6. There is an OSPF hello and dead interval mismatch. 3 router ID is configured on R6. Let's check first R3 then R6. So as you can see here, this is R3 configuration. You could see that there's the username and also the password and area 0. And at the bottom part, let's check with the PPP encapsulation. Also PPP encapsulation and PPP encapsulation also. And you can see here at the bottom part that the router ID used is 192.168.3.3. Next, in R6, so username R3, password Cisco36. They have the same, just different username with this one. Also in area 0, process ID of OSPF6 and encapsulation PPP also, authentication chap, they have the same. And there you go. Router 6 have also a router ID of 192.168.3.3. So we can conclude that the answer for this one is letter D. The router ID is configured on R6. By the way, guys, in OSPF, another you can put on checklist is your router ID. Your router ID in your OSPF should be unique. So router ID from each devices could not have the same router ID. So make sure you check one on this, guys. Just take note of that one. So here's a checklist for OSPF, and just remember this and just read the questions very carefully and understand the statement, and just match the questions with the given choices in your SIMLET. So that's it, and hope you guys learned something from this one. Thank you and have a great day.